Well, this has been several months in the making, and without further ado, here is my kegerator. Some people would call this a Keezer because the inside of it is a chest freezer and it holds a keg. These are Perlix, extremely good taps, forward sealing as they call them. Specialty wrench for them. CO2 tank back there. And on the inside. This will snugly fit 4 corny kegs, ball lock. And I mean snugly. Haven't actually had the full ones in there, so that could be interesting. I have a primary regulator outside. It's got the 2 gauges, one for tank pressure, one for feeding pressure, and then a secondary set inside. I imagine that this rig could be modified to be 3 pressures. This one is feeding 3 of the 4 air outlets. Actually down there. This one feeds one of them. I figured if I wanted to do soda, or what's more likely is I think I'm going to try and do tonic on tap, and maybe do just carbonated water with some syrups. If I do 2 in eventuality, I will just split this off to 2 air feeds, 2 CO2 feeds. This is, these are the shanks, and before someone comments, wow, those are too long, I'm aware. I didn't specify them with the vendor. I'm realizing I should have. I'm not stressed out about it. This whole thing is going to be, it's going to be a bit of a doozy to get kegs down in this end of it, regardless. So making these any shorter isn't going to do me any good, frankly. I will say that in the end, I would have, if I could do it all again, I would have made the collar attached to the lid. Mine is attached to the body, and now I know why everyone says you'd be happy if you did it this way, or rather the other way. Because all this stuff would be out of my way. It would be lifted up and attached to the lid. What's done is done. I'm not stressing out about it. I'm going to make do. Frankly, I don't know that I'm going to be able to keep 4 taps busy. Who knows? Maybe that's a bold-faced lie that I'm going to eat my words later. A common question with Keezers is why would you freeze your beer? You're not. This is the end of a temperature probe, and it's actually not connected to the actual temperature controller. This is the temperature controller. It's an open source design by Mikey Sklar of Holy Scrap Hot Springs, a homesteader out in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. I just like the open source concept, and you get to build your own and solder with it, and I'll edit this part out, but I'm recording a video to post to YouTube and the forums. This is a facaded chest freezer. Obviously, you can see that. There is a 1x4 frame underneath this facade. This is literally just 1/4 inch ply. Relatively cheap stuff. But it was fairly easy to build. I've got some Google SketchUps that I'm probably going to post. I have posted some to homebrewtalk.com. I'll post the rest. I'll make sure that they're with this video. Beyond that, there's not much to it. I will say that the vendor that I used is kegconnection.com. Caught them in the middle of a winter storm, so there was some shipping annoyance, but when it got here, everything was perfect. Got exactly what I ordered. They anticipated me having to pass through between the primary and the secondary, so and they also, they didn't commit me to which one of these regulators was for the single and which one was for the manifold. Oh, by the way, the manifold. I mounted it here, and my intention is to make this valve correspond with this valve correspond, this valve correspond with this one, and this valve correspond with this one. Just, I needed a place to mount it, and that figured like a good place to do it. So, anyway, that was like the one part of the keg kit that wasn't finished, was the ends of these two lines. So I got to choose which manifold, which regulator went to the manifold and which went to the single. Another cool thing about Keg Connections kits is they're now shipping with these guys, which are, it's not going to focus, of course. This is a threaded connection on the end of this tube, and it means that you can swap these out with little to no problem. Even, you know, you don't have to deal with barbed connections. My understanding is that pin lock, well, ball lock kegs are becoming harder to find, so we may all, you know, new keggers might be dealing with pin locks soon. So I like that gives me the versatility in the future. So the other thing I would say about my whole experience was the collar. I would highly recommend that you stay away from dimensional lumber. If you can find finished, more finely milled lumber at your big box store, I would highly suggest that you find and use that, even if it means you have to glue two pieces together side by side to get this kind of thickness. Not that you really need this kind of thickness, frankly. The reason being that these pieces are, structural lumber is not very well jointed, and it's definitely not planed. It is, but it's very roughly done. So you get twists, you get bows, you get all sorts of things that eventually make it impossible to make this entire thing a flat surface for this lid to come down and land on. In fact, my lid doesn't land perfectly. This corner has a little bit of spring to it, and I might be able to fix that with the hinges in the back, but I think I'm just going to have to keep something sitting on the lid, which I don't think will be a problem. So, moral of the story, go with some finer, non-dimensional, finish style lumber. Glue two pieces together if you have to. And if you want a perfect miter, get a miter box. I did these freehand on a table saw with the blade at 45. They didn't come out very well. Anyway, the only reason this works is because I spent an entire afternoon planing the surface of this down to get it as flat as it is. So, and I used L brackets to put mine together. I also used liquid nails. I tried the little bead of caulking, the one in the roll that everyone talks about. I found that it was cold outside, so it didn't mold very well, so I kind of hit the abort button and just went with liquid nails. And then I came back and I caulked it. I'm fairly confident in at least the air tightness of that. I'm certain that other things around here are not going to be airtight, so I certainly anticipate a condensation problem. So, but I'll just deal with that as it comes. So, kind of curious about painting gaskets. If anyone has any thoughts on that, let me know. But then again, it doesn't look terrible. So, and this is just a piece of 1-inch trim spray painted to high gloss black. So, anyway, I think it turned out great. I look forward to comments and questions, and everyone keep posting your build info too. Bye.